Today, I want to talk to you about something we all wrestle with: resistance, that heavy feeling in your chest when you know what you should be doing, but you just can't seem to get started. That voice in your head that whispers, do it later, or it's too hard, or the infamous, I'm not ready yet. Let me be honest with you. You will never always feel like it. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel inspired. But guess what? It doesn't matter. Because if you want success, if you want change, if you want growth, feelings can't be your leader. Discipline has to be. This is where the phrase, force yourself to get it done, comes in. It's not just a motivational quote. It's a mindset, a commitment, a way of life. You want to build a business? Force yourself to get up early and work when no one's watching. You want to get in shape? Force yourself to go to the gym when it's cold, when you're tired, when it's raining. You want to grow mentally? Force yourself to read, to study, to practice, even when your brain is screaming for distraction. Because on the other side of effort is progress. And on the other side of pain is power. Every time you push yourself when you don't feel like it, you're not just checking off a task, you're building character. You're proving to yourself that you are in control. Not your comfort, not your excuses, you. The people who win in life, they're not always the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who show up. They are the ones who stay late, try again, push harder, and most importantly, they are the ones who don't wait to feel ready. They force themselves to take action, and in doing so, they become ready. Motivation is a great feeling. When it strikes, you feel unstoppable, full of energy, ideas, and drive. You get excited, you start planning, maybe even take a few big steps forward. But here's the hard truth. Motivation is unreliable. It's fleeting. It comes and goes like a breeze, and if you build your goals around it, you'll never get anywhere consistently. That's why discipline is everything. Discipline is the engine that keeps you moving when motivation disappears. It's the force that gets you out of bed when you'd rather stay under the covers. It's the habit that tells your brain, we're doing this no matter what. Relying on motivation is like trying to build a house on sand. One day you're ready to conquer the world, and the next day you're questioning everything. The issue isn't that you're weak or lazy, it's that you're human. And humans aren't wired to feel fired up all the time. We have bad days, we get tired, we get distracted. That's natural. But success, real lasting success, doesn't wait for perfect moods. It depends on what you do when you don't feel like doing anything. Discipline steps in where motivation falls short. It's built through routine, repetition, and mindset. It's the result of choosing long-term gain over short-term comfort again and again. For example, an athlete doesn't train every day because they're always excited to. They train because they made a commitment. A writer doesn't write a book because they always feel inspired. They write because they made a promise to themselves. In every field, the people who succeed are the ones who kept going when the excitement wore off. Think about it like this. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the firewood. The spark is great. It gets things started, but without discipline to keep feeding the fire, the spark dies out. That's what makes discipline so powerful. It gives you control. You no longer wait for the perfect time or the right feeling. You take action regardless. And over time, you start to realize something amazing. Discipline creates its own momentum. The more you show up, the more progress you make. The more progress you make, the more confidence you build. And with confidence, you start to feel motivated again. But now, that motivation is built on action, not just emotion. Building discipline isn't about being harsh with yourself. It's about being honest. It's about saying, I don't feel like it, but I'm doing it anyway. And the more you do that, the more you train your mind to follow through. You become someone who gets things done, not because it's easy, but because it's important. And when you start living that way, you become unstoppable. So the next time you feel low on motivation, remember this: it's not supposed to be easy every day. That's not a sign to stop. It's a sign to lean into discipline. Show up, do the work, Keep going, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That's how you win, not once, but for life. Feelings are powerful, no doubt. They can inspire us, push us forward, or stop us in our tracks. But as strong as they are, feelings are also unstable. They change with our mood, our environment, our energy levels, even with the weather. If we let our lives be led by feelings, we'll constantly be starting and stopping, moving and freezing, progressing and then regressing. That's why commitment must come first. Commitment is the anchor that holds you steady when your feelings try to throw you off course. It's the decision you made when your mind was clear, and it's what keeps you going even when everything inside you is screaming to quit. When you commit to something, you create a standard for yourself. It's not based on how you feel in the moment, it's based on the kind of person you want to be, and when you choose to live by that standard, you take control. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop waiting for the right emotion to push you forward, and instead you move forward because you promised yourself you would. Feelings say, I'm tired, I'll do it tomorrow. Commitment says, I said I'd show up today. Feelings say, I'm scared this might not work. Commitment says, I'm going to try anyway. Feelings say, I'm not in the mood. Commitment says mood doesn't matter, discipline does. And here's the thing, no one is immune to this. Even the most successful people in the world don't always feel like showing up, but they do it anyway. Why? Because they're led by their commitments, not their emotions. They've trained themselves to take action regardless of their internal state. That's what separates high performers from those who stay stuck in cycles of procrastination and inconsistency. Let's be clear, feelings aren't bad. They're a natural part of being human. It's okay to feel tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed, but the key is to not let those feelings drive your actions. You can acknowledge them without obeying them. You can feel afraid and still move forward. You can feel unmotivated and still do the work. That's where your power is, in choosing commitment over comfort. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you reinforce your identity. You tell yourself, I'm someone who finishes what I start. I'm someone who honors my word. And over time, that builds confidence, trust, and strength. You no longer need motivation to act. You act, and motivation follows. This mindset applies to everything, your goals, your health, your relationships, your dreams. If you wait to feel perfectly ready or excited every time, you'll be waiting forever. But if you lean on commitment, you'll keep showing up. And by showing up, even imperfectly, you move forward. You grow. You get better. You become the kind of person others can rely on. And more importantly, someone you can rely on. So next time you're tempted to skip the work, quit the task, or delay the dream because you're not feeling it, pause. Remind yourself that feelings are temporary, but commitment is a choice. And every time you choose it, you get one step closer to the life you actually want, not just the one you feel like having today. Let commitment lead. Let it guide your actions. Let it build your legacy. Because feelings may start the journey, but only commitment will finish it. Discomfort is something most people try to avoid. It's natural. We're wired to seek comfort, safety, and ease. But if you look closely at every story of personal growth, transformation, or success, one thing becomes clear. Discomfort is always part of the process. It's not just a side effect. It's the very place where growth is born. Without discomfort, there is no real challenge, and without challenge, there is no change. Growth doesn't happen when you're cruising through life doing what's familiar. It happens when you step outside your comfort zone and push into the unknown. That space, that uncomfortable, uncertain space, is where you discover who you really are. It's where you develop new skills, build resilience, and find strength you didn't even know you had. But none of that can happen if you stay stuck in what's easy. About learning anything new, whether it's a language, a sport, a job, or even a relationship. The beginning is awkward. You feel out of place. You make mistakes. You question yourself. That's discomfort. But if you stick with it, you start to improve. Slowly, what once felt hard becomes natural. You grow because you endured that early struggle instead of walking away from it. This is true in the gym, in the classroom, at work, and in life. When you train your body, growth comes from pushing your muscles to the edge, feeling that burn, that fatigue, and then going a little further. That's when the body adapts. That's when it grows stronger. The same principle applies to your mind, your character, and your spirit. Stress, challenge, and discomfort stretch you. They force you to evolve. Most people run from discomfort because it feels like a signal to stop. But in reality, it's a signal to keep going. Discomfort is not danger, it's not failure, it's simply a sign that you're entering new territory. It means you're moving beyond the limits of who you were and stepping into the possibility of who you can become. The people who grow the most are not the ones who avoid discomfort, they're the ones who lean into it. They understand that the pain of growth is temporary, but the reward lasts. They don't see struggle as a setback, they see it as a setup for a breakthrough. They embrace discomfort as a teacher, not an enemy. This doesn't mean you need to suffer endlessly or recklessly throw yourself into chaos. It means you intentionally choose paths that challenge you. You accept that fear, awkwardness, and doubt are part of leveling up. You stop looking for shortcuts and start trusting the process. Discomfort builds character. It teaches patience, humility, and grit. It humbles you, sharpens you, and toughens you up. It reveals your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. And most importantly, it teaches you that you're capable of more than you think. So when discomfort shows up, when things feel hard, when you're tempted to quit, take a breath. Don't run. Don't hide. Recognize it for what it is, an invitation to grow. Every time you push through it, you get a little better, a little wiser, a little stronger. Growth isn't supposed to be easy, but it's always worth it. And once you embrace that, you'll stop fearing discomfort and start chasing it. Because that's where the real change lives. That's where your future is being built. We all have dreams, goals, and intentions. We plan, we visualize, we talk about what we want to do. And while intention is important, it gives us direction and hope. It's not enough on its own. The truth is, intention without action is just a thought. It doesn't build anything. It doesn't change anything. Action beats intention every time. Because action is what actually moves the needle. It's what turns ideas into results. You can have the best intentions in the world. You can say, I want to start that business, or I'm going to get healthy, or I need to be more productive. But unless you take real steps forward, nothing happens. The world doesn't reward what you meant to do. It rewards what you actually do. That's the difference between people who succeed and those who stay stuck. It's not that one group had better ideas. It's that they took action when the other group kept thinking, waiting, and hesitating. Action is powerful because it creates momentum. The first step is always the hardest, but once you take it, the next one becomes easier. Even a small action, sending an email, writing one paragraph, going for a walk, making that phone call, can start a chain reaction. You begin to see progress, and that progress fuels motivation. It's a feedback loop that starts with movement, not intention. Another reason action matters more than intention is because clarity comes from doing. So many people wait until they feel ready or until they have the perfect plan, but clarity doesn't come from overthinking, it comes from experience. You learn by doing. You discover what works by trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. You can't think your way into confidence. You earn it by showing up and doing the work. Of course, action doesn't guarantee success right away. Sometimes you'll fail, sometimes you'll fall short, but even failure teaches you more than sitting on the sidelines ever could. Every action, even if it doesn't go the way you hoped, is a step forward because it gives you information, experience, and growth. Intention can't do that. Intention keeps you safe, but stuck. There's also a trap that comes with intention. It feels good. Thinking about your goals, talking about them, writing them down, it can trick your brain into thinking you're making progress. But unless that intention turns into a habit, a behavior, a step, it's just a mental illusion. Nothing in your life changes until your actions change. Real discipline comes when you start acting on your goals, especially when you don't feel like it. That's when the magic happens. When you stop waiting and start doing, when you choose progress over perfection, when you take one step, even if it's messy or uncomfortable, because done is better than perfect. Movement is better than planning. Action is better than intention. So whatever it is you've been meaning to do, start. Don't wait for the perfect moment because it may never come. Don't get stuck in your head or lost in the planning phase. Just do something, one thing, and then do the next thing. Let action build your momentum. Let it teach you, let it carry you forward, because in the end, results don't come from thoughts, they come from work. And the people who change their lives aren't the ones with the best intentions. They're the ones who put those intentions into action, one step, one choice, one day at a time. Success often seems like a mysterious formula, some combination of talent, timing, luck, and connections. But when you strip away all the noise, one truth stands out above the rest. Success comes to those who show up, not once, not twice, but over and over again, consistently, relentlessly. Success favors the people who are present, engaged, and committed, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one's watching. Showing up means more than just being physically present. It means making the choice to participate fully, to give your effort, your time, your focus, even on days when motivation is low and distractions are high. It means doing the work, whether you feel like it or not, because showing up builds momentum, and momentum builds success. We often think success is about one big break or a single moment of genius, but in reality, it's built in the quiet, repetitive choices people make every single day. It's found in the hours spent learning, practicing, failing, and improving. The athlete who trains early in the morning, the writer who sits at the desk even with writer's block, the entrepreneur who works late into the night refining their idea. What they all have in common is that they showed up when others didn't. Most people want success, but they wait to feel ready. They wait for inspiration, for clarity, for the perfect plan. The people who succeed don't wait, they act. They understand that progress isn't made in grand gestures, but in small, consistent steps. Even if the effort feels insignificant today, it compounds over time. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be there, doing the work every single day. The truth is, half the battle is just showing up. It's putting yourself in the room. It's saying yes when it's easier to say no. It's returning to the task, the dream, the discipline, even after setbacks, especially after setbacks. Because success isn't linear. It's full of ups and downs. But if you keep showing up, you outlast the failures. You learn, you adapt, you grow. Showing up also builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you show up, you prove to yourself that you can be counted on. You build discipline, confidence, and resilience. That self-trust becomes the foundation for everything else. It's what carries you through the tough days when results are slow and recognition is nowhere in sight. Some days showing up will feel effortless. Other days it will feel like the hardest thing in the world, but that's what makes it powerful. Because when you show up on the hard days, you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people give up when things get uncomfortable. But those who succeed are the ones who show up anyway, not because it's easy, but because they're committed to the process. So if you're chasing a goal, building something, trying to grow, remember this. It's not about being perfect. It's not about always knowing what to do. It's about being there, putting in the time, doing the work, showing up for yourself day after day. Because talent is great, ideas are exciting, plans are important, but none of them matter if you don't show up. Success doesn't go to the person who thought about it the most. It goes to the one who kept showing up, no matter what. We all have excuses. Some sound reasonable, others even convincing. I don't have time, I'm too tired, I'm not ready, what if I fail? These excuses become the stories we tell ourselves to justify hesitation, delay, or inaction. They can feel like valid reasons, but the truth is, most of the time, they're just barriers we build to protect ourselves from discomfort, fear, or effort. Deep down, we all know this. We are stronger than our excuses. Excuses feel safe. They give us a way out. They protect our ego from the risk of trying and failing. But they also trap us. Every excuse we give power to becomes a brick in a wall that keeps us from the life we want. Over time, those bricks build a prison, one made of doubt, hesitation, and missed opportunities. The sad part is that the key to that prison has always been in our hands. We just have to choose to stop listening to the lies we tell ourselves and start acting from strength instead of fear. Because excuses aren't facts. They're just thoughts. And thoughts can be challenged. Time? Everyone has the same 24 hours. Energy? It grows with discipline and healthy habits. Fear of failure? That's part of learning. No one succeeds without falling a few times. You are more capable than the voice in your head would have you believe. That voice is just trying to keep you comfortable. But comfort isn't where growth happens. Every time you give in to an excuse, you make it stronger. But every time you push past one, you become stronger. You prove to yourself that you can do hard things, that you can follow through, that you can show up even when it's difficult. And that kind of self-trust is priceless. It's what builds momentum, discipline, and confidence. The more you challenge your excuses, the less power they hold over you. You might be facing real challenges, limited time, responsibilities, setbacks. Life isn't always easy. But strength isn't about having a smooth path. It's about walking the rough one anyway. It's about saying, yes, this is hard, but I'm still going to do it. That mindset separates people who dream from people who do. Think of the moments in your life when you pushed past an excuse. Maybe it was showing up to work when you didn't feel like it. Maybe it was speaking up, taking a risk, starting something new. Whatever it was, you likely felt proud afterward, not just because of the result, but because you didn't let your excuse win. That feeling is powerful, and you can create it again and again. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Take one step in the direction of your goals, even if it's small, even if it's uncomfortable. Every step forward weakens your excuses and strengthens your belief in yourself. Over time, those small wins become big changes. Your future doesn't depend on whether or not you have excuses. It depends on whether or not you believe them. So the next time that inner voice tries to tell you you can't, remind yourself you can. You already have, and you will again. The strength you need isn't out there, it's already in you.